So a huge welcome to this incredibly important celebration of the staff at University College Cork, where we celebrate a long service awards. Of course, ordinarily we'd be on the campus tonight, we'd be in the beautiful Aula Maxima, surrounded by friends and family and colleagues. We're not able to do that tonight for all the reasons we know. That doesn't diminish this in any way. In fact, tonight is even perhaps more special. You're with your family at home and those that are special to you. Perhaps, and I hope, doing something special, if I might even say have a glass of wine or something equivalent to that. I do hope, and if that isn't your tiffle, that you would do something that's really important to you. This is a really important occasion for the university, and that's why we've decided not to let it pass. It's the 32nd award for long services. In fact, I started in UCC in 1989, 31 years ago. So when I started, I was 1 year old then. So I've shared much of the journey with each of you at University College Cork. But tonight is about you. Tonight is about your contribution and acknowledging that at University College Cork, where you have made an enormous contribution. Perhaps at times when it was very challenging, exciting, but also times of huge change in the institution. Can I also acknowledge those who are on the left and right of you, and perhaps your families that are watching from somewhere far away. They're also part of our family at University College Cork. They also supported you. They also encouraged you, I hope. And maybe at times when things were a little bit frustrating, also supported you into the future. So tonight we celebrate, acknowledge, and we also want to say thank you for all your contributions for 2 periods of time. In fact, there are 53 colleagues we're going to give a big shout out tonight for. We've got 13 people for 35 years service and 40 colleagues for 25 years service. It's just a remarkable, fantastic achievement at this institution. And you know, UCC is fundamentally about its people. And you know, if we don't look after our people and we don't have really important and great colleagues, then actually it means nothing. So talent comes from our people and from incredibly committed colleagues that have worked, particularly in the last 9 months. And not to labour, I think we're all probably tired of COVID at this stage, but there is good news. There is a vaccine on the way. We will move to lower levels. We will get out and hug all our friends very soon. But at the same time, we're not able to celebrate the way we are tonight. Ordinarily would do tonight. But of course, COVID has really brought change to the campus. I'm looking out into the campus as we speak. It's empty. It's void. It's not the place that we all want to be. It's not the place we are used to being. But nonetheless, our staff have been fantastic during this period. From the moment we shut down on the 15th of March, within 6 hours, this university has delivered excellent teaching and learning, excellent services, and continuing to conduct excellent research. And I want to say thank you for that, for your commitment from all your hard work. So for all the countless acts of dedication and commitment, and so many times when you've gone above, way and above beyond what we had hoped in your call of duty, and in many cases these acts have gone unacknowledged, formal or otherwise, tonight is actually about acknowledging it formally, with your family and with our colleagues across the institution. Our university would not have achieved what it has, nor would it be held in such high esteem both nationally and internationally without your contribution, and I thank you for that tonight. For those receiving 35-year awards, your time began at University College Cork in October 1984 and October 1985. So during that window, and our 25-year recipients between 1994 and October 1995. Collectively, this is a remarkable number. You represent a total of 1,455 years of work, or 75,660 weeks of commitment and dedicated service. I'm exhausted already. It's just a remarkable commitment. And it just says so much about our fantastic university. For many tonight, this evening, is a short trip, I hope, down memory lane. 1985, very different world than we have today. 2019 was a very different world than we have today, but 1995, let's cast our minds back. Cork, for those of you who may not be from outside Cork or who are from Cork, you might remember we celebrated its 800th birthday. It was 800 years since it was granted a charter by Prince John in 1185. A bizarre year. It was a very wet summer, and of course what happens in wet summers in Ireland is people go a little bit mad. Moving statues were sighted all over the country. I think the first movement was in Ballinasbittle, where 2 young women witnessed the so-called movement of statues. Our professor of psychology at the time was carried out the investigations on this. A total of 100,000 people went to the site, and some turning up every evening to get a glimpse of the miracle, so-called miracle. Also that year, the Anglo-Irish Agreement was signed. the story of the agreement that sowed the seeds for subsequently what led to a very significant peace in Northern Ireland. It was signed by Dr. Garrett Fitzgerald Taoiseach, Margaret Thatcher, the British Prime Minister, but the potential of agreement was underestimated at the time, and as the state papers reveal. More excitingly, in Spike Island, you might remember the prisoners went onto the roof and set fire to the building. You might also remember that our Lord Mayor at the time went to San Francisco to get a set of false teeth. And it was just one of those really weird summers that happened in Ireland. But there were some high moments too. 1985, we had Live Aid. Those of us on a Saturday afternoon, I remember watching Live Aid from London and also from Philadelphia subsequently. 172,000 concert goers filled 2 venues in London and Philadelphia, raising over 50 million for famine relief in Ethiopia. Over 7 million was raised in Ireland, the highest per capita for any donations. And of course, Bob Geldof played a significant role in the middle of all of that. If you're listening to the radio, what would you have heard? You would have heard listening to the likes of Wham, I'm Your Man, and Fergal Sharkey, A Good Heart. Some of the more popular films at the time were Back to the Future, and maybe back then, I don't think it was 220, but certainly back then it looked like a very futuristic world which we're now in. A few other elements that worth reflecting on. For those of us who lived in Cork, I was doing my PhD at the time, and my PhD was done jointly between CUH and the Cork University Hospital and zoology. And my memory of it is the horrendous accident, blowing up of an aircraft off the south coast of Ireland, the Air India aircraft. And many of those bodies and remains were brought to Cork University Hospital. And that memory will remain with me. In particular, Professor John Harbison then was the pathologist, meeting him many times as he went back and forth to conduct the postmortems on these awful poor people that got caught in that tragedy. Steve Jobs resigned from Apple. And finally, the Rainbow Warrior. Some of you will know University College Cork is actually core to our sustainability is green. That was sunk in Auckland, and Stephen Bean, our fantastic colleague, reminded me, of course, a cameraman lost his life during that really horrible event. For those of you much younger, or maybe joined us later, in 1995, it was 25-year service, and we fast forward 10 years. 1995 was quite a memorable year, not just because 40 of you started working in UCC, it was memorable for you and memorable for us that you joined us. The student body at that time was 10,000 students. Today it's 22,000. A notable feature was the increase in international students, which then was 700. It's now close to 3,500. The student centre, so many of you may take lunch there, or you may walk, or you may meet friends there, you may have coffee there, you may do some shopping there, became the centre of the campus social life for students following its completion in late 1995. The success of the building resulted, however, a huge pressure on the facilities. Subsequently, we had to do an extension because that really spoke to the success. After the old theatre was closed following a fire at the Lee Maltings, a place where I spent most of my time in the 80s and 90s and into the early 20s, the Granary Theatre was designed and opened in 1995. A referendum was held in November 1995 on whether to allow divorce in Ireland, and the yes side won. This year also, Pat Falvey became the first Irish climber to climb Mount Everest. The Prince of Wales undertook his first visit to Dublin. Those of you interested in music, the Eurovision Song Contest in 1995 was the 40th edition annual Eurovision Song Contest. It took place in Dublin following Charlie McGettigan's and Paul Harrington's win. Remember the name of the song? Rock and Roll Kids, I'm sure you remember it. It was held on the 13th of May in the Point Theatre in Dublin, and Norway took home the prize that night. It was a good year for Irish sport. Some would say we haven't seen many of them since. We won the Triple Crown, and also Dennis Taylor took the world snooker title. And the music at the time was Take That and a range of other songs. The WTO, the World Trade Organization, was established. Barings Bank collapsed. US Supreme Court Judge Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman to oversee the US Supreme Court, and we know how important, and we've all seen that in the media in the last number of weeks, and perhaps even as you're sitting there this evening may well have played a significant role in the election of Joe Biden. Nelson Madiba, as he's known, of course, hosted the South African team as they won the World Cup in South Africa in a remarkable time. And for those of us that are really think is important in the university setting, of course, Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney wins the Nobel Prize for Literature. And you know, we've all heard the quotation over the last number of weeks, largely called out by Joe Biden, Justice can rise up and hope and history rhyme. I hope for you that hope and history combine tonight for you to have a very special celebration of the fantastic time that you've had in UCC, and fair sailing for another 5-10 years for those of you who are going to continue here. I'm sure we'll agree UCC is an incredibly vibrant place which we're all proud of. The spirit and sense of community, innovation that attracted you to University College Cork is still here, in fact has been added by your contribution. To mark and commemorate your commitment and dedication to University College Cork, each recipient tonight will receive a specially commissioned piece of bog oak, over 4,000 years old. The Eternal Flame, and in the coming weeks it will be delivered to you, so if someone's knocking at your door tonight, it's not us. We'll also have a unique ohm of your name called out on it, and it's a unique piece that symbolises life and living, and will be inscribed, as I say, in ohm in your very special name to mark this really important occasion. I will now call out the names of recipients of the Long Service Awards for 25 and 35-year service, and I will start with the 35-year service. I know many of these names, it's just nice to see them and see colleagues. So Anthony Archer is down there. He was known to me as Tony Archer in the School of Nursing and Midwifery, and I know Stephen, he was in the AV service. I think Tony might have done some of my very early slides for me, those blue slides that we used to do. So Tony, great to see you. Sylvia Campion, Department of French. Virginia Conrick in the Boole Library. Virginia, we meet you many times in the Boole. Julie Donnelly in the Tyndall National Institute. My great colleague, Professor Caroline Fennell, the School of Law. Anne Foley, in the Boole Library. John Carney, Tyndall National Institute. Rennie Ledwit, the Cork University Dental School and Hospital. Mary McNulty. You've just retired after a fantastic service to University College Cork, and Mary, we're looking forward to celebrating with you your retirement when all of this madness passes. Joseph O'Brien, Tyndall National Institute. Claire O'Keefe, Cork University Dental School and Hospital. Bernice Riedewald, Department of Anatomy and Neuroscience. Thomas Walsh, Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering. So that concludes 35 years of service. Remarkable. And thank you so much for all that you do. I'll now proceed to call out 25-year service recipients, of which there are 40. Alan Ahern, General Services. Graham Allen, the Department of English. Stephen Barrett, General Services. Margaret Bunce, Department of Physics. Thomas Butler, Business Information Systems. John Carey, Early and Medieval Irish. Tracy Connolly, the School of Education. I'm smiling because Kieran and I have worked very closely together, Department of Human Resources. Kieran, congratulations, and congratulations to everybody. Forgive me for dipping in and out, but I suppose each of us have a great friendship with different colleagues. Kevin Cronin, Department of Process and Chemical Engineering. Maria Annick de Plong, Department of Biologies, Folklore and Ethnology. Marion Elders, the Skills Centre. Patricia Fitzgerald, Department of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. Liz Flynn, Oral Health Service Research Centre. Kevin Glavin, General Services. Governor Sinead Hackett, Business Information Systems. Margaret Healy, Department of Accounting, Finance and Information Systems. Mary Keane, Boole Library. Anne-Marie Kelleher, Tyndall National Institute. Gotta get this right. Joseph Curry, Department of Food and Nutritional Sciences. Vivian Lorden, the Language Centre. Mairead Lockman, Office of Corporate and Legal Affairs. Milauda Lau, Department of French. John McCarthy, General Services. Joan Moynihan Collins, the Boole Library. Orla Murphy, Department of Digital Arts and Humanities. John Nyan General Services, Donal O'Driscoll School of History, Orla O'Donovan School of Applied Social Studies, Emer O'Driscoll Student Experience Office, Katrina O'Leary Finance Office, John O'Malan, the School of Computer Science and Information Technology, Cindy O'Shea School of Applied Social Studies, Mary O'Sullivan Tyndall National Institute, Noreen Power Centre for Adult Continuing Education, A. Quinlivan Department of Government and Politics, Gavin Russell School of Computer Science and Information Technology, Eileen Savage, the School of Nursing and Midwifery, Timothy Toomey, Department of Process and Chemical Engineering, Frank Van Pelt, Department of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. And Frank, you and I have worked an awful lot together. Great to see you here this evening. And finally, but not last but not least, Fidelma White, the School of Law. So you might give a big cheer to those fantastic colleagues for 25 and 35 year service at University College Cork. So it just remains for me to say this evening, thank you for all that you do on a daily basis. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your contribution. And have a wonderful evening in celebrating. And I just want to acknowledge the wonderful people who are in the room with me today to make this all possible. Dr. Sandra Irwin, Stephen Bean, my great colleague and friend who's done a lot of this great work, and Owen O'Sullivan. Thank you for making this possible. Have a wonderful evening with your family, and please take care and have a wonderful Christmas, and see you in the new year. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Barry O'Brien, Director of HR. Delighted to have the opportunity to say a few words as we come to the close of this ceremony. A virtual ceremony, but hugely important for all of us. UCC is above all a community of people, staff and students. When I think of staff with your service that we are celebrating tonight, I think of commitment, I think of experience, I think of loyalty, and I think of the corporate expertise that you bring on a daily basis to your working lives and how much everybody in UCC benefits from that. I think in the new normal post-COVID, work will be very different, but I think loyalty to an organisation will be a key factor in determining how successful organisations will be. I have no doubt that you will continue to work in your normal way to ensure that UCC remains successful. In conclusion to this evening, I'd like to thank a number of people who worked very diligently behind the scenes to make it a success. I'd like to thank our colleagues in AV services. I'd like to thank our colleagues in IT services. I'd like to thank the Registrar's Office, and in particular I'd like to thank my own colleagues in HR who worked very hard to make this evening possible. So it just remains for me to thank you all for taking the time to join us virtually, to really appreciate at a personal level with all those who are near you and close to you this evening how much UCC values your contribution, and we look forward to seeing you all back in campus again soon. Thank you very much.
If you're on the campus tonight, I or Barry O'Brien, my colleague, would say, can you now look under your seat and there'll be a number under your seat. And if we were there, you take the number and then we would do a raffle for which there will be a prize given to 2 people. And we're going to do the same virtually. Not sure how this is going to work, but my colleague Dr. Sandra Irwin has now got all of the names in this container. Thank you, Sandra. So I'm going to shake it up and I'm going to take out one name and I'm going to call it out. I have no idea. Let me just mix them up. So Fidelma White, the School of Law, 25-year award recipient. Congratulations, Fidelma. We have a prize coming your way. And then the second one, they're all laughing at me in the room here, is Rennie Ledwith, Cork University Dental School and Hospital, 35-year award recipient. Huge congratulations. Thank you.